Hi, I'm Melissa, and I'm here to talk to you today about a subject that I'm very passionate about, and that is the Electoral College and why I think it needs to be changed. Now, as Masters of Legal Studies students, who's in charge impacts us because those are the ones in charge of implementing and changing policies and hiring practices that we as HR and compliance specialists have to adhere to and abide by. Now, I remember back in the day, I think I was in about fourth or fifth grade during the 2000 election, our school put on a little mock election to, teach us about how voting works and the political system. So we all got to write our votes on a piece of paper and put it into a little shoebox. Then the school announced who won the election for who our school voted for. Now, that led me to think at that time, because I was only 10, that every vote matters equally, and whoever gets the most votes wins, right? Then I got older, and then I took a few more classes, and then I realized that that's not how that works. I mean, it's how it works for things like deciding on propositions, or electing governors or other leaders, but not at all how we elect our president. This is very problematic. Now, on five occasions in our country's history, the winner of the popular vote lost the Electoral College, including twice in the last 7 elections, once in 2000 during Bush and Gore, and of course most recently back in 2016, where Clinton won the popular vote by 3 million but lost the Electoral College to Trump. That's one of the biggest issues for me. But also, another large issue is the fact that states are not fairly represented. According to NPR.org, 20 states are overrepresented in the Electoral College by more than one vote based on population. Some larger states, such as Texas and California, are underrepresented by roughly 9 votes based on population. Now, generally, states that are home to more people have more votes, right? Makes sense. California, largest state by population, has 54, whereas Wyoming, the smallest state by population, has 3. But because electoral votes are allocated according to seats in Congress, where each state holds 2, regardless of population size, electoral representation varies a lot. This results in approximately 1 electoral vote per 195,000 people in Wyoming. That sounds like a lot, right? Except in states like Florida, Texas, and California, which are extremely populated, 1 vote accounts for over 700,000 people. Now, just for reference, if all 538 electoral votes were distributed evenly among the U.S. population, each vote would represent about 623,000 people. But that's not the case, especially in some of those smaller key battleground states. Now, even more alarmingly, I think, back in 2020, Joe Biden won the popular vote by 7 million votes. However, people overlook the fact that that election came down to 3 battleground states. In those 3 battleground states, if approximately 45,000 people had voted the other way, Trump would have won the Electoral College and Biden would have lost that election, despite winning again the popular vote by 7 million, which is a lot of people. That's a lot of votes. Additionally, according to PewResearch.org, more than 6 in 10 Americans would prefer to see the winner of the presidential election be the person who wins the most votes nationally. So, what do we do about it? Well, we could just completely get rid of the Electoral College in favor of a popular vote. However, that would require us to amend the Constitution. The problem with that is it's very difficult to do, and in all likelihood, some of those smaller key battleground states will never go for it because they benefit so much from the current system. So what else can we do? Well, the Constitution does allow states to decide how they award their electoral votes. So, if enough required their electors to vote for the winner of the nationwide popular vote instead of who won in that state, we can fix the problem with the Electoral College without needing to amend the Constitution, because the Electoral College would still be in place. It would just look a little different. Currently, the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact proposes an agreement amongst participating states to award all of their electoral votes to the presidential candidate who wins the national popular vote, rather than the candidate who wins the vote within their state. Now, this wouldn't take effect until states with 270 electors, a majority, joined in, but we're actually closer than you might think. Currently, 18 states and the District of Columbia have already signed on, providing 209 of the needed 270 votes to pass. The bill also has one legislative chamber in 7 states with 74 electoral votes, including our own right here in Arizona, or for most of us, right here in Arizona. It is also endorsed by 3,800 state legislators currently. But what happens if we don't, right? We just keep on with the Electoral College as is, we don't do anything. Well, we continue to run that risk of, once again, the winner of the popular vote losing the Electoral College. This could lead to a lot of voter frustration and lower voter turnout. Additionally, this can also lead to voter suppression in those key battleground states and an increased risk for vote manipulation. According to the National Popular Vote.com and commoncause.org, the National Popular Vote Compact would guarantee the candidate who receives the most votes wins the election. Every voter's vote will be directly added into the national count for the candidate of their choice. This will ensure that every voter in every state will be politically relevant in every election, regardless of where they live. It would also force candidates to spend time engaging with voters across all states, as opposed to spending so much time in just those key swing states. So what can you do to help? Email your legislator, sign petitions. Petitions can be found on sites like the nationalpopularvote.com or commoncause.org. You can also volunteer, donate, and of course spread the word. Tell your friends, tell your family, and spread it on social media. Thank you for your time.